Oh my God, this is really exciting. Hey guys. Thank you for joining me. It feels really strange because I'm talking to a wall. Oh my God, hello. I thought there'd be like 2 people here. Yay! Hey Dana, hey Loz. I did tell the 6 girls to come give me some love today. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Okay, I'm going to figure out how this question and answer thing works. Oh, it's right there. Cool. So let's like maybe wait a little bit and then we'll get stuck into it. Hey, Shannon. Hey guys, this is so cool. Guys, the Eve Blake is here. How do I? Oh, what did I just do? Okay, oh, cute. Okay, cool. I think I'm getting the hang of this, kind of. Oh my God, wow. All right, hi friends, I'm gonna get started. There's 39 people here. This is so cool. All right, so I'm here to chat a little bit about my career and my writing and new musical theatre in Australia. I am kind of new to the writing world. I'm yet to finish my first big musical and get it on, so a part of me feels a bit like an imposter, but I have learnt a lot of things in my journey so far, and I would love to share with you what I have learnt, what I'm learning, and a little bit about the industry. So whatever you'd like to know, please ask away. Let's have a look at questions. Okay, Lozzie, you asked, when did I begin writing? I've been writing songs my whole life. My bud's here, my little sister's here. I began writing songs as a kid. I think it was just the way that I liked to interpret the world, and like I took all this information, it's how I churned it and created something, and yeah, how I made sense of things. But I started writing for musical theatre and like showing people all of this stuff. Like I've got so many songs on my laptop and ideas for musicals because I've always loved musical theatre. I started writing for musical theatre like 3 years ago. And to be honest, I think the push for getting my writing out there came from this place of wanting to create roles that weren't so archetyped. You know, I'm a woman of colour in Australia in the musical theatre industry, and that can be it's a lonely place, and it's a place where you work in archetypes. And so I was finding I didn't get seen for these cool, juicy roles, and I wanted to create that for myself. So that's why I started showing people my writing. Oh my God, look at all these questions. All right. Okay, I'm going to the bottom. My day is going really, really well. Did I find it hard to start writing? Yes. Yes and no. It's always hard. Writing's never like, oh, this is cool. And even when it's free flowing, you always run into obstacles. But it is something that I would say came naturally. Seems like a stupid thing to say, but it is something that I think is part of my makeup and part of what I need to do. It's not something I'm fighting against. Sometimes I feel with performing it's something that I'm fighting against. But writing always feels like it's a flow. Yes, the live will be saved. Hey Eve, thank you. Okay. Am I inspired by Lucy and Toby's writing? Absolutely. Musicals generally take a long time to write. They say the general musical takes 5 to 7 years to happen. And so having these dreams of writing has always been this thing that's been in the future. And there are always things that come in the way. And also because of my performance career, you know, you have to juggle between wanting to perform and doing jobs and your writing. But what was I found was a big turning point for me was meeting Lucy, and she is young, and they wrote this show like 2 years ago. And that's not to say shows shouldn't get developed, because they absolutely should, but 6 works. And it's so brilliant in what it says, and it's so now. And so I'm so inspired by it, not just the writing of 6, because it's brilliant, but the fact that they're these 2 young people that just went, let's do this, and they just did it. So I think so often you are your own block, because you tell yourself, it's not now, I'll do it later. But I find the fact that they are so young, like my age, and I got to work with Lucy, who I was fangirling over the entire time. I'm like, oh my God, you're taking this to Broadway in a couple of weeks. So I find that, yes, very, very inspiring. And it just made me realize, get off your butt and just do it. Just do it. And I think that's been my coolest lesson from Lucy and Toby. Okay. This is so hard to choose. Okay, this is a classic question. I start with lyrics. And I think that's because my writing is always super story driven. And in my process, lyrics create the framework for the story that you're going to tell. It sets up the character in a very literal way. And the music that you then compose underneath the lyrics, which always comes with a melody in my head, that then sets the atmosphere and sets the emotion. It's the punch, and it says the things that the lyrics don't, or heightens the things that the lyrics want to say. And the music for me is almost always an accompaniment to what I'm trying to say with the words. So yeah, I always start with lyrics first. But sometimes it can change, but that's generally my writing. I'm going to be classic, but Stephen Sondheim to me is when it comes to musical theatre writing, he's just a genius. And I had what I wanted to give to the world with my writing really changed last year when I did a Sondheim show. And singing his music was crazy, because you'll be acting this role and you're trying to figure out how to tap into this character. But with Sondheim, you literally just need to listen and learn the melodies, which are so hard because they are chromatic. But learn the melodies, learn the rhythms, and do it all exactly as he's written. And somehow, by doing that, it takes you as the actor to the place that you need to be. And as the listener, it takes you there as well. And so, like in this show, we had to do some really huge scenes. And you think, people ask often, like, what's your acting technique? Acting technique is nothing. It's just receiving. It's just doing the thing. And I think that's where great musical theatre works, because, well, great writing works anyway, but musical theatre is cool because you have that added element of music. And so as a writer, that's what the biggest thing I took away from that was to create music that is of the circumstance, that doesn't fight against what you're trying to deliver. You're trying to deliver a narrative, and it should all work together. And to me, Sondheim is the master of that. So, Stephen Sondheim. Questions. Okay. So there are a couple of questions here asking about my process. So I thought that maybe later on, like maybe half an hour into this, I do like a little case study of one of my songs that I've written and just talk you through the entire structure of it and how it works to create the message that the song is. So I'm going to get to like process in a little bit. Not a question, just sending love. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, let me go back to the beginning. Charlotte, I'm going to get to your idea as well. I would love to hear what your idea is and would love to bounce it. Method. Oh, this one's an interesting one. What software do you use? This is a great question. And I actually, so my beautiful friend Eve Blake, who was on this chat, is amazing. And I actually like had this learning session with her on Monday where she talked me through her software. And it's a really important thing, I think. Like, the world is changing. Technology is a thing these days. And I definitely, Chloe, you are, I definitely come from more of a, not a classical background, but it always comes from the music for me. And I think about score and I think about all of that. But in this day and age, people want to hear what it is you're creating. And there is so much brilliant software to be able to do that. So when you're pitching something, rather than just putting our demo tracks in, if you use something like GarageBand or Ableton, yes, Ableton, Eve, that's what Eve uses, you're able to create a bigger picture of what it is you want to show the world. I use GarageBand, and that's for no reason as to that was what was free on my laptop, and I'm bad at technology, and that kind of seemed like the easiest to use. So that's what I use. What's your best advice for writing your first song? Just do it. And don't be afraid for your writing to be poo, you know? I did help Chloe with her recording. You're so welcome, Chloe. Just do it. It's going to be a bit crappy. I think the best advice is do not be afraid for your work to be bad. How do you start writing? I don't know. I think it comes from an idea. That's how I start a song. I have something that I want to say to the world. I figure out how am I going to do that? And sometimes I just write and I just word vomit on a page and make things rhyme, and it turns into something. So even if as an exercise you want to start writing and go, okay, how do I develop this craft? Pick something. Like maybe your topic is the cat is fat. Oh no, we shouldn't be fat shaming. That's actually not a good... Don't do that. Don't call the cat fat. The cat is grey. And your song's going to be about this grey cat. What is it you want to say about this grey cat? Is the song from the opinion of the grey cat, or are you singing about the grey cat? And just start typing. The cat is grey. I had a great day. I want to stay. Yay. That might be your first lyric. And I always put it on my computer, type it out, and I find I like typing because I can change it up. And then look at your rhyme scheme and change it up. I love working with rhyme because it forces you into a structure, and I think with form comes, when you're locked in a form, you can actually become more free. Does that make any sense? So just do that. And then Cole Porter talks, when he explains his writing, every sentence has an intonation. So if you say, the cat is grey, the cat is grey, the cat is grey, that turns into a melody and a rhythm, and that will then feed into the song. And then you start music. And if you don't know how to play piano, just play around with notes. That's the way that I would go for it. So like, the cat is grey, the cat is grey, whatever. And that is, thanks guys. I'm going to drop the Cat is Grey album after this. I'll work on it. But yeah, that could be a process. But that's generally how I start with my writing. We want women. Oh, you're talking about my show. Lachlan was helping me out with a couple of developments of a show I was writing last year called Woman. And that was a really, really cool project. It was based on, it is based on Lily Elba and Gerda Wegner, who were amazing artists at the turn of the 20th century. And I've taken a step back from that. I was actually talking to my friend Sonia, who is an amazing Melbourne creative, about this yesterday. And the reason I've taken a step back from it is because I don't know what I'm trying to say with the show. I don't know what the framework is. And the politics around it keep changing. And I want to make sure that whatever I'm saying is not exclusive. No one asked the question, but I gave you an answer. Yeah. Also, I'm going to go back and read the chat, but it's like so quick. So if you want to ask a question, maybe chuck it in the question box because I might miss it. What is my favorite instrument to compose with? I've been playing piano my whole life. Fun fact, I learnt to read music before I learnt to read English. So my brain kind of works like that. My brain works with the piano, so it's definitely piano. Doja and Nikki better watch out. Yeah. Okay. What type of music do I find easiest to write? And what type do you find the hardest? So the power of 6 is that those songs are so amazing because they're bops, but they tell story within the fact that you can just like listen to it on the radio, in your headphones, and you can listen to it as a pop album, as music, and you can listen to it as storytelling as well. And that is what is so genius. And Toby and Lucy are so good at that. I find writing a bop difficult, I think. And I find writing a story, that to me comes easier. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been obsessed with musical theatre my whole life. But that's something I'm definitely learning how to do. Like, how do you balance having a song that's nice to listen to? Because I do think that there is power in that. I don't think that like it's crappy musical theatre if it's just like a cool song. I don't believe in that. I think musical theatre has all these different genres. So yeah, I find maybe finding the aesthetic of songwriting kind of difficult, but I find trying to craft story maybe not easy, but I feel like that comes without, like, doesn't feel like this. It kind of flows. Chloe is always here for the hard-hitting journalism. Okay. I just clicked something. On average, how long does it take for you to start and finish a project? Friggin' ages. I don't have a specific answer for that, but musical theatre takes ages. It takes so long. Because once you write and once you think that what you've done is it, then you show it to the world and you get the world's feedback. And you shouldn't always listen to what the world says, because if you believe in what you believe, really strongly, like, stick to your gut. People like Stephen Sondheim wouldn't have had the career if he had listened to the world all the time. But there are always rewrites to happen, and there are always ways of re-expressing what you want to express. So the answer to that question is, it can take forever. Like I said, musicals generally take 7 years to write. And I'm actually yet to finish any one of my projects. Like I said, I'm new to this game. And it takes a while. It also depends on things like trying to get a producer interested, getting funding, all of the stuff around, like, maybe writing doesn't actually take that long. I generally can write a song in a day. But the other stuff takes so long. And that's generally why an end product is not so near in sight. All similar questions. What am I currently writing? I'm currently working on 2 projects. That's 4. 2 projects. One that I'm working on actively is my song cycle, which is currently called My Home 2. And it's a bunch of different songs, different stories within themselves, that all deal with a moment in time when our idea of home is taken away from us. So we're displaced in a way. The characters are all Australian. And so it kind of is also this question of what does it mean to be Australian with the demographics that are on stage. So it's 4 actors, 2 Indigenous actors, writing it for myself to be in it, but like a South Asian demographic in her 20s, Aussie in her 20s, and then an older Caucasian dude. And that is the framework that I'm currently working in. Might change. So just reworking a development that I did at the end of last year, in October of last year. And that's a classic example of, I wrote this show, it's like 50 minutes long, and I was pretty happy with it. I was like, this is the piece, it's going to be a thing, boom, show the world. And it was a really successful development and workshop, but you realize how much, not necessarily doesn't work, but what you can improve by looking back in retrospect. And so that's what I'm working on at the moment. And then there's another project which it's not even worth explaining yet. It's so loose. I'll talk about it when it's got some more content and structure. What did I want to be first? In a musical or to write a musical? When I was in high school, I used to always say my dream is to write a musical and be in it. So I think it's kind of both. Oh, Benny! Benny's one of my besties from university. We were in the same year. To write your own work. Was there a particular point or reason you remember? That's a great question, Benny. I've always, I think I kind of mentioned this before, but for anyone who has come in after, I've been writing forever, but I started showing people after I had been working in the industry for like a year. And I was finding that being the demographic that I am, I'd get kind of far in auditions, but wouldn't quite book stuff. I'd only get seen for certain roles, and I would never ever get seen as the characters, which are just kind of written to be women. Their ethnicity didn't have anything to do with the character. And there's nothing wrong with, ethnic characters in musical theatre, but I kind of wanted more than that. Or, for me, being a woman of colour, I was born in Australia and I am pretty friggin' Aussie, as you can hear by the way that I speak. And so even with TV roles, you always get seen for the Indian roles. I literally wrote a song about this called Hugh Jackman. And I just wanted to start writing stories for people who looked like me or people who shared that experience in the industry, where you can just be a human and you can be a flawed human as well, because that's not a luxury we get a lot of the time. And that's what that's what gave me the kick up my bum to be like, show people what you write. You have something that you need to say to the world. I hope that answers that question. Okay. I literally thought that there would be 3 people on this chat and I would get like 2 questions. So this is really cool. How do you keep being authentic with your writing? I don't know how to answer that question. I think just writing what you care about. If you keep writing what you care about, then you're being authentic, right? Hopefully. Yeah, I think so. Okay. How did I get my work out initially? Homegrown. Literally homegrown. Writers need companies like this to give them opportunities, because you can have a million songs written and record them on your laptop and have no pathway of showing the world. Mind you, we live in the age of social media, so I guess it's not really a thing. But to have companies support you, to teach you about process, to let you fail, that's so important. Being able to show a song to an audience and it failing miserably and you go, oh, great, because that's where you learn the big lessons. Or to take a song that is risky. The 2 songs that I was most scared about people hearing were Hugh Jackman, which is about being Indian in the entertainment industry. It's got an actual story, and I'm going to do a case study on that in a little bit. And another song I wrote called Some Perspective, which is a refugee song, and I use Hindi in it. I was so scared about sharing that with the world, because for some reason I was like, oh no, they're going to hate it, and I'm going to get all this backlash. But having Homegrown, this company where they do concerts and give opportunities and platforms for writers. Like, I'm so new to this, and the fact that I'm even getting to do a live is super cool. That's was my springboard into wanting to take this further. So actually, this is totally a shout out to Homegrown. That is what got me started. Started in like a public sense. Ooh. Esther Glasspaul, Lou Wall, June Tong, and James Gales. Brilliant creatives. I'm confused. I haven't heard of Flat Earthers the musical, but I will have to check that out. Not a question, but I love how much you talk with your hands. It's a thing. I don't know if it's because I don't know what to do with my hands or whether I'm just really expressive, but I appreciate that. How do you deal with Okay, I'm going to go to the top of this. Ooh, Lozzie, that's a good question. How do I want to be remembered as a writer? Legacy is totally a thing that sits at the heart of any writer, I think. Any creative, right? We want to leave behind something. I think I want to be remembered for opening up the landscape of storytelling. And when you say giving voice to these people, like that's such an overused term. But I guess in essence, it's kind of why I write. Everything that I write is always centered around a minority story. My hands, oh well. Always centered around a minority story, but never about being a minority. Maybe that's what I hope to be remembered for as a writer. I love that question. What? I'm so sorry if I've missed your question as well. Sorry. What, in your opinion, are the key ingredients to writing a good song? Character-driven storytelling. If you work around those parameters, that to me is musical theatre at its best. And character-driven storytelling also fits within, like, what's the world you're creating around the character? How does it all match up? Something like Six works, is so genius because it lives in the pop concert world. When you listen to the aesthetic of it, you know where you are. You know who these women are from just the timbre of the sound. And then they start singing and you're like, oh my God, I'm in for a ride. To something like Sunday in the Park with George. As soon as you hear it, you hear the like ethereal, artistic, romantic piano parts, and it takes you to the world, and that creates the circumstance, and then you find character and storytelling within that. So yeah, character-driven storytelling is the key ingredient to writing a great musical theatre song. This is my friend Dean. He's a brilliant director. He directed me in Sunday in the Park and is just like one of the most beautiful humans to come into my life. What advice would you give to other POC who want to be in the industry? Just do it and find your tribe. And I think you find your tribe by just doing it. That's what happened to me. And I feel like I've really built a community. I haven't built the community. I've joined the community around myself. So I think it can also be quite discouraging. I guess things are changing at the moment, but there's also problematic things in like the language that's being used around people of colour within the industry, diverse storytelling. But I think if you like know what you want, you value yourself as a storyteller, and you go for the things that you think you should be seen for. If My Fair Lady comes and you are Eliza Doolittle and you've got that amazing range, but the colour of your skin happens to be a little darker than what you've ever seen, go for it anyway, apply, and put yourself out there. Because the more that you do that, the more that you find that voice within yourself, which then in the end, people will see that. I think that that's kind of maybe what happened with me. I've got a long way to go, but yeah, I think that's, just do it. Like, put yourself in the room if you can. How does 26 feel? I turned 26 yesterday. Feels pretty cool. Not too different from yesterday. I am feeling the love though. Do you tend to start with a broad concept and write from there, or simple melodies that you build? Both actually. I think maybe the strongest songs, and how do you tell what songs of yours are the strongest? But I think, in my opinions, the songs that I've written that have worked the most have come from an idea of, okay, this is something that I want to share. This is a message that I want to share to the world, or a question that I want to share with the world. How do I do that? And breaking it up into sections. Then comes the lyric, through which comes the melody, and then comes the accompaniment. Which kind of segues into, I might do a little case study of one of my songs and explain to you how it works. I'm just going to go for it. So I hope that you guys enjoy, and let me know if you do have questions while I'm explaining this. So I thought I'd go through Hugh Jackman, which is the song that most people seem to... Eve Blake saw me perform this song at a Homegrown concert last year? No, or maybe the year before? Last year. And was like the kindest soul ever. And she just like was so generous and kind, and forwarded this link of me performing this song to all these people, and it opened up all these amazing opportunities. So be kind and be generous, because there's no space for selfishness. Just doesn't work in this industry anymore, I don't think. Anyway, that's a segue. So this is the song Hugh Jackman that people seem to like. I'm going to talk you through how I wrote it, why the tools that I used to create the storytelling, basically. So I had this idea of, okay, I wanted to say something about being my demographic in our industry. I think that great musical theatre is written when you have a message that you want to say, but you can make people laugh about it. And I never ever want to be preachy and force an opinion on someone, because that's also not my job. My job is for someone to see a human and to relate to that human and go, oh, I understand their story, even though they're different to me. So, okay, I had this broad concept of what it is I kind of wanted to say. And then I thought about, okay, what is the scene that could be? And my brain took me to this place of, what if there's a character who's a bit like you, and she starts off and she's on a movie set, and like her dreams have come true and everything's exciting. So is the first riff, right? And there's something about that which is like grounding, like things have been achieved, my dreams are coming true, it's the first day on this movie set, like it's exciting. These are all like the piano riffs. She sings about being on this movie set, and you meet this character, right? And immediately the audience are meant to side with our character. She's living her dreams, she's on this movie set, everything's going well, and you're like, yes, girl, get it. And then suddenly things start to unravel and not go as planned, and you see her start to stress out. And then the punchline comes in, and you learn that she has been cast in this movie with Hugh Jackman as a featured extra, as this Indian woman that needs to speak Hindi who can't speak Hindi. And then the director comes in and yells, action, and we get this kind of chanty sound. It's just fits to kind of create that feeling. And you see her make up this chant with complete gibberish, or English in this thick Indian accent. And it's kind of funny, and everybody laughs, and it's like the audience goes, ha 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 ha, this is a funny song. We get back into the chorus where it's super simple, where it goes, they'll never know the difference, it's fine, they'll never tell, it's not appropriation when you're brown and brown as hell, and mom will be so proud in the cinema, a sellout crowd of loud cheering immigrants, a party will be thrown for me, for the time I was rescued by Hugh Jackman in a movie, right? So that's the chorus. I use the same musical ideas, so a verse and a bridge, to then have a similar scene, but things are starting to unravel. So people are starting to find out that she's done this. The world, it's like blowing up on YouTube, and everything's starting to go to shit, and she's getting really, really frantic and anxious. And so the piano part needs to enhance that, right? Then we go to the chorus. They'll never know the difference. It's fine, they'll never tell. Lyrics are slightly different, but essentially the same wording, but the feeling for this second one is amplified, and the tension is building, and she doesn't know what to do, and everything's kind of messed up. Everything blows up, and we get back to our chanting. We go back to the chanting, but now she's doing it for herself, and it's still kind of funny because she says things like, I think I fucked it very badly, whatever. She mentions Sonia Kruger, which people find really funny, and it's still a funny song at this point. That for me is the moment to go, okay, this is the message of the song. And as a musical tool, when you take a theme and you chuck it up an octave and you make it a bit slower, suddenly the feeling of what that brings becomes reflective and gentle, and it takes you to a different place. And it's literally the same notes. I haven't changed a single thing. It's just up and slower. And we get to the point of the song, which is, I just wanted to tell stories. When I was young, I watched Meryl Streep. It's not thy fault that I was born into a world that doesn't look so deep. Every time that I audition, and then getting lower each time, hone it in. Every time that I audition, that's who I am expected to be. This is the point of the song. A young brown girl from the other side of the world. Couldn't I be in the story? A true blue Aussie who looks like me. Right? We're building it up. It becomes anthemic. And then again, it's the same music that we've heard, but this time it's lower and it's slower and it's meant to punch you in the heart. And she sings, and my mom will be so proud in the cinema, a sellout crowd of loud cheering citizens. And changing the word immigrants to citizens is the story kind of in itself. A party will be thrown for me when I'm the next Hugh Jackman in the movies. It's meant to be belted, but like it's late at night and I'm not going to do that. My sister cries every time I get to this bit. And getting back to Hugh Jackman is kind of the punchline in some ways of the song. So it ties in the very first idea of, oh my God, I'm on this movie set, I'm working with Hugh Jackman, to coming into her own, I'm going to be the next Hugh Jackman, this is me. And then you like finishes with this same theme that we introduced, which is really simple, but it works in a different way at the end of the song now. And then we finish, my keyboard's glitching, with the chanting. Om Jo Shanti, Antarikshvakwam Shanti. And she's actually learnt the chant, and that's to do with claiming self-identity. And then we finish it on Om, which is how we finish the song. And so there's like a couple of tools. Like it's a very simple song, but it uses these tools and it like inverts the tools on themselves to then create the message. And I'm really proud. Like I think it's one of the finest versions of that in my writing that I've done, which really works. And you get the message without it being thrown onto you, being like, everyone's racist and I have, like, no one's going to listen to you. But if you show them the similarities between you and them, that is how you access, how you get into people's minds and how to get people's hearts. Maybe you change someone's opinion. Yeah, that's kind of the process of how I write. And yeah, an example of how that works. How much longer have I got? Cool. Cool. All right, I'm going to dig into some more questions. Okay. Just talk amongst yourselves for like a hot second. Okay, I'm going to go take a question from Dean. I've already forgotten the cat is grey. Don't forget that, guys. That's going to be a thing. As an advocate for diversity and representation, what are your wishes for the future of musical theatre in Australia? To be honest, there are so many things that you can have happen, right? Diverse casting, colourblind casting, more range of storytelling. But what I think is the underlying key to that is new creative teams, new companies, to find the funding and the models to create what they want to create. Because it's all well and good to take a big machine that has been running for 30 to 50 years and works in its own way, and they have their own way of working and way of casting, and they have the people that they know who are all talented and should be there in their own right. But to me, that's where like the juice is. It's in the new companies, the new directors, the new creatives who have come from a different world. Growing up in the last 30 years is very different to growing up 50 years ago. So my wishes for the future of musical theatre in Australia, I think, would probably be more companies and new companies growing. And I guess at the moment it's so uncertain and so scary. And for me, a big thing is to really support the indie companies as well. I wrote a post about this a while back, but like indie companies, the small guys they're the game changers, and the commercial companies will follow suit because commercial companies need to sell tickets. There's also nothing wrong with needing to sell tickets. Like, it's a business at the end of the day. But when you're talking about artistic leadership, I really believe that it's the small companies that pave the way for that stuff. Six, I keep going back to it, is an example of that. Six was a student show that they wrote at Cambridge for a tiny audience that then went to the Fringe and then became massive. But its heart is a student show. Like, without that little Cambridge University Musical Theatre program, which is a hilarious little, if you put those letters together, that Joe Baton used to run. Without that program, this musical would never have been written. So I think it's really important to support the roots, to support the small programs and small companies like Homegrown and Watch This, which is another company I've worked with. Yeah, I kind of got off track with that, but I like to preach a little bit. Totally unrelated, but how's your guitar playing going? It's all right. I've lost feeling in the tips of my fingers, but didn't need them anyway, really, hey? How do you deal with doubt and MT from yourself and others around you? Sometimes I don't think I do deal with it very well, to be honest. I think it's about community. I think it's about supporting, treating the world in the way that you want to treat yourself. When you realize that everyone is going through the same thing. One of my very, very best friends was the leading lady in a show that I did earlier, and I was just in the ensemble. And I remember meeting her and being like, oh my God, this person's talking to me. I can't believe it. I'm such a fan, and like getting so nervous to be around her. And then we got really close on the show, and then coming off it and watching her journey auditioning, and all of the emotions and the rejection and the criticism was the exact same thing as this person who's done all these leading roles, who's been working in the industry for years, to what I have been feeling as someone who's been in the industry for a couple of years, has done like a couple of shows. And I think understanding that it's a very, the anxiety, the self-criticism, the rejection, that is something that every performer, even someone that you think is really successful, for those couple of yeses that they've gotten 200 no's. So yeah, I think I deal with the doubt. Inner critic, fire them. Yes, Lauren Hunter, listen to those words. I think I deal with the doubt in knowing that everyone's experiencing it and we're all in the same boat. And also, at the end of the day, we're creating art. If it's causing you that much stress and you're hating yourself, why do it? Remember that it's for the love of what you do. And when you remember that you love singing and you love storytelling, I find that the doubt sometimes goes away. But that is harder said than done. But going back to the why do you do what you do, and enjoying that. There was one before where somebody was like, can I pitch you an idea? And I wanted to, okay, I'm going to see if I can find this. Oh no, please don't tell me I've lost it. Oh, this is a good question. Do you have writing collaborators? When it comes to writing songs, I write the music and lyrics myself, and I found that I think I'm strong at that. Even though I would love to, I've been working with a friend of mine writing a song, and I've really, really loved doing that because I haven't really done that before. Something that I realized I really need is a team around me. And I think there's a misconception with people like Stephen Schwartz and even Lin-Manuel Miranda. You see these people who write it all and you're like, they do it all. That's their genius. You don't realize the teams that are around them. I could be wrong with this, but I'm pretty sure that Lin, the way he writes is he makes voice memos on his phone and then he sends it to his collaborators and they work on it together. Like, it is his baby. But there are other people in the room. There are dramaturgs. I'm loving working with a book writer for one of my shows. I'm loving working with a dramaturg on my song cycle, and it just expands what could be, what your ideas could be, right? They're little seeds. And I think if you don't have other people around, people that you trust and people that you agree with or that you respect, because everybody does have opinions, But when you work with people, it opens up these ideas to their full potential of what they actually can be. Other people in the room where it happens, hell yeah. Oh no, I can't. I hope I haven't lost this. If you sent me a question saying, can I bounce an idea off you? Can you send it again? Because I would love to work with you. This also makes me realize how slow I am at reading. I'm so sorry. This must be so much boring. You're watching my face. My vocal range. Okay, it's disappeared. Send it again. Send it again if you sent that. Yeah, I think it maybe was someone called Charlotte. Have you thought about cabaret as well as MT? People have said, talk to me, like they've said you should really take your stuff and do cabaret. And the honest answer is I don't know much about it. I need to see more cabaret. But I just don't think I've been a member of the audience of the cabaret world. So it's a genre that I probably know more about it than I think that I do. I haven't spent time engaging with that world, which I need to do because cabaret is so cool. What I know about cabaret is that it's open-ended, right? There's no real definition for what it is. So it can be anything. The cool thing about it is there are less constraints. So you can create something that kind of is truly you. And that's powerful, right? So yeah, I've kind of thought about it. Whenever I have ideas, I'm like, oh yeah, but what if it worked in the song cycle for this? And I think my brain just always goes back to musical theatre because that's my great love. All right, I'm just going to shoot through these questions. How much longer do we have? This is really fun. We've got 10 minutes left and this has gone by really quick. Okay. How did you find a writing community? Homegrown, to be honest. Homegrown. And meeting people and just saying yes. That's how I found a writing community. So I guess the broader answer to that is to do the thing, to find ways of doing it in public when restrictions are lifted, to do it with other people, get other people to sing your music, get other people to work as an accompanist on your songs. And the more that you do it, the more people that you meet. And also don't be afraid to tell people that you write, because that is super intimidating to be like, I do this thing. For me, singing in front of thousands of people can be kind of scary, but you get over it. But showing someone a song that I've just written is that is hard. And that's really, really intimidating. But do it anyway. No question, but you should definitely write a musical. I'm working on it, Broadway Dork. I'm working on it. I have a couple of ideas for a song, but I cannot write or compose for the life of me. What are your ideas, Mayashans? What are your ideas? Are you still in the chat with us? Okay, I'm going to wait for your answer and I'm going to have another look through. Ooh, is that it? Ariel, what are your ideas? Can you do we can screen share, not screen share. Send a request, let's chat about it. What's the song that you want to write? Let's work on it. Oh my God. I'm meant to be working. Yay! That's the process, right? It's just crap. Oh, kind of good. And also sometimes you don't realize that it works. If you have the opportunity to perform it and you think it's crap and then people laugh at it or people are moved by it. How do I get requests in? Go live with... Oh, okay. I'm gonna send you a request, Ariel. Did you wanna do this? You also don't have to, because it's like Instagram's scary. All right, I've sent you a request. Oh, this is cool. Hello.
Oh my god. Hi.
Hey, Ariel. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm freaking out.
All right.
Oh my god.
What's your idea? I'm going to sip at my wine.
So
What's your idea for a
I'm
song?
doing a speech right now for English on Aboriginal, why Australia's racist toward Aboriginal people. And like the Stolen Generation really has no songs about it and no, I guess, information on it, like with songs. And it kind of sucks because it's a whole community of people who have like nothing they can go look back on and like make it seem like they have something they can relate to in a way.
For sure. So you want to write a song about the Stolen Generation, yeah?
Yeah. I guess like my dad worked at Aboriginal people.
Cool. So you don't have Indigenous heritage yourself?
No, but I want to work with Indigenous people for like a job when I'm older because my dad did and I saw him like enjoy it so much. So
this is super cool, and you're absolutely right. In fact, in my song cycle, I've got some stuff about that. Something I will say, and something that I've learnt in my storytelling, because it's always centered around minority voices, is when you are working with a story that comes from a demographic that is not your own, you can have all these ideas in your head about what you want to say, and you know that you are siding with, their voice and maybe their experience, or you're on their side, right? What is really, really important is to go to the source and to talk to people, like actually talk to people. What is it that you want to say? I want to use my skills to not help you, because it's not like they need help, right?
No, but it's like opening, I guess, a community up in a way.
Exactly, right? And it's to a world in musical theatre where you're right, like especially in Australian musical theatre, what Indigenous voices are there. So my advice to you would be reach out to people. And if you need people to reach out to, I've got an amazing tribe of wonderful First Nations creatives and storytellers who I'm sure would love to like reach out to you and to talk to you about their experience. I know a big thing with Stolen Generation is a lot of people don't like to talk about it because it's such
an insane
it's so much grief and so much trauma, right? Sometimes when it talks about when you want to bring power to something, it's about overcoming that. But I think your intention is so cool, and I love that you're so passionate about sharing those voices. So my first piece of advice would be to reach out to someone whose experience it is that you are writing. And then
could you send me their usernames?
Absolutely. Let's chat after this, and I'll send you some people to get into contact with. And just say, this is who I am, this is what I'm trying to do. What will probably happen the most is like people will read your message and ignore it and not get back to you, because that is just the nature of the industry and of the business. But some people will, and you'll learn things, and then you'll also like my song cycle has a lot of Indigenous stimulus in it. 2 of the 4 actors are First Nations actors, and I have learnt so much in the writing of my show about the language to use around that, the words.
When you were saying it, I was like, this is so cool, because like I've never seen like a musical like written about it, and like it, you know, even just like having 2 characters involved is like insane to me.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. But yeah, that would be my first piece of advice. Do your background research so that it's not Ariel's take on this story. It's
like this,
like straight from the horse's mouth. Is that the phrase? Horse's mouth? You've, you know, so you are on side with people, so that the last thing you want to do is create a story for someone who, and this happens all the time with like, nothing against white men, because that, you know, that phrase is tossed around all the time, but you get these story trying to write often female stories, like the stories of women of color or people of color, and
we're alive.
And
I'm alive. She plays
Hello.
guitar in Six, Australia.
Oh,
I
cool.
was meant to see her live 3 days ago.
Okay. Half an hour.
What was I going to say? And you get
Sorry,
these...
my dad just walked
No,
in.
that's okay. That's all good. My dad would do that too. You get these stories that are kind of appropriated and take an experience that makes it super, super generalized because they haven't actually talked about what it is to be of that experience. So
Yeah.
that would be my first tip.
Mm.
And then do the cat is great exercise and write some lyrics about it. And the lyrics are probably going to be really crappy to start off with, but then keep working on it. And the more that you research, the more that you learn, you'll find your craft start to happen. And you'll also find different ways of storytelling. You might find that maybe you don't want to write that song anymore. You want to write a different song, whatever it is.
Oh my God, I'm freaking out because like everyone in the chat's like freaking out for you. It's just making me cry.
You're doing so good. I love your idea, and I think that is so awesome.
Yeah. It's honestly just like having your, like, I guess you being there saying like it's a good idea because especially you're a big inspiration to me because like I've been a fan of Six and then seeing a whole Australian cast of like mixed people, like not just having a white. It's so good because I guess I've really been into musical theatre in Australia until like Six really came. And now it came, it's just like, you know, so opening doors for me.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that it's had that effect on you.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day your writing will have that effect on other kids when they come and watch your show.
Honestly, that would be a dream.
That's the goal, right?
I feel like if someone just inspires you, you want to make everyone inspire like everyone else. You want to like continue that.
Absolutely.
I'm so bad explaining things. I'm so sorry.
No. I think you're being pretty clear. This is awesome. Thank you so much, Ariel.
I'm just freaking out talking to you.
I'm going to go back to answering some questions.
I've answered like tons of questions for you, so.
Keep shooting them my way. All right.
Okay, I'm going to go.
Thank you for joining me. What have I done? How cool was that? All right. We've got like, I think 5 minutes left or something. Oh my God, 3 minutes left. Is there any burning questions anybody has before I go? This is going to go really quickly. The cat is gray. And I said, hey. Oh, I'm seeing your questions now, Ariel. When comes to your own music, what do you hope? Benny asks, what do you hope listeners take away from your music? I think what I hope is that listeners, who's the real video making, that they see a human that they can relate to, even if it's something that is completely opposite or conflicting with their values. I guess my goal in my writing is to see human people that you can sympathize or empathize with their stories. That's my goal. Amy Zhang is like one of my besties from high school. She's a big fan of mine. Where do I do most of my writing? Here in my bedroom. This is my piano, and I sit here and I work. I often get my ideas when I'm sleeping or when I'm in the shower is when I think my best ideas come. And so it's always a thing of either actually getting up and fleshing that idea out at the moment, or recording it and working on it later. But it's kind of here in my little space in the world. Best advice I've received about writing: collaboration and to just do it. That's the thing. What do I recommend aspiring performers to be doing during this time? A mixture of taking it easy and loving yourself, because this is not a normal time. It feels a bit, for me, it feels a bit like what it's like between gigs, where I'm not working on anything, and that's when I write, and it's hardcore, but actually this is not that. It's different. So I think it's just looking after yourself and feeding the beast, feeding the creative within you. All right. Benny wants me to show you my inspiration wall, and this is very much why I write. I have this wall in my room of all women in history who inspire me. And every day I kind of wake up and I look at them, and it reminds me of what I want to say to the world, because they're like a whole heap of artists, activists, women who had voices, and maybe one day I'd like to be up there, you know. All right. I am, thank you